Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Days of Our Lives, September 8, 2025. So, I am here for the Kirakis brothers reuniting, Xander and Philip. Today was a great episode of seeing them together, bonding, and actually trying to figure out who is really behind planting that bug in their office. So Xander's on edge because again he doesn't know who is behind. It could be anybody, and Philip was just trying to be rational and say, "Look, if you hadn't destroyed the bug, maybe we could have traced the signal or something like that." But Xander's like, "Too little, too late. We just need to put our heads together and legitimize you so that they don't see us coming and all of that, right?" So they think about who could it possibly be because everybody go in and out that office every day, cleaning staff, security people, assistants, a lot of employees. So they don't know where to start from at this point. All they can do is try and figure out a plan before the person who maybe got information on how they got the wager or the merger, sorry, together, right? So they go back to the office and figure out like, hey, how am I gonna, how are we gonna really, nab the person before they take us down, right? So they go back to the office and they're still talking about who could be and Gabby comes in, right? So Gabby comes in and she's wondering what's going on because earlier she came there, she saw the office ransacked. She's like, oh my gosh, they found the bug, right? So she comes in and she's asking like, how come the security team is there going around the offices? So they're asking her point back like, were you behind this? You want to tell us something? Were you in on this? So she said no. You're thinking that I could do it. So they said, I mean, you wanted to take back your company from us. Like, it's looking real suspicious. So she said, no, it wasn't me. I do enjoy working for you guys. You guys have been nothing but good to me. And remember, um, Philip said that, she swore up and down on her daughter's grave that she didn't hire somebody to look into her company. And she said, you know how my daughter is important to me, Xander, you of all people know. So he said, I believe you on that, right? So anyway, she said, anything I can do to help. So he said, just keep your ears out and see, if anybody might be disgruntled, anybody have a problem. So she said that, that's definitely can be, a common issue among the employees here, but I'll definitely keep my ear to the ground. And she asked if the security team are going through her office, if she should be on alert. So they said, they would be doing that. So just, be on the alert, right? So anyway, she did ended up calling Tony and asking him like, look, what is our next plan? I don't want this plan to go up in smoke because at this point, they already found the bug and who knows if they are knowing, or they believe that I was behind this, right? Now back at the office now, Xander's telling Philip that he has a birthday party to attend to for Victoria, and he invites Philip over as well. Like he wants to really be on the same foot as brothers, and I am here for it. I definitely was smiling from year to year today with them, but going to EJ and Gabby, right? So again, no love lost between these two, always trading barbs. And she was looking for Anna, and he's saying like what for. So she said, I want to collab with her on I guess some design for Gabby Chic. So he's surprised that she would want to hook up back with Anna, considering they don't have the same taste in fashion. And Gabby's saying that he has no vision whatsoever, so she's not surprised, right? So anyways, they're going back and forth about him and his new job and how people must be happy that he's not coming in until the next day and all of that. She's just trading a lot of barbs towards him and he as well. But she's winning definitely from this scene. So anyways, she end up going because, she doesn't see Anna, right? So he asked her about, where's Stefan? She said, I haven't heard from him and nor do I want to hear from him considering what happened last time. So he's saying he's just suspicious that he hasn't really reached out or touched contact. Nobody has seen him except for his mom. So she said, well, that's his mom. But he said, Vivian is a homicidal maniac, so I don't really expect her to be of any help. So anyways, she said, why are you so concerned about Stefan? You didn't even welcome him into this family. So he said, regardless, I can't stand him and how he ran the business. He's still family. So she said, you're just saying that because you're lonely and Johnny disowned you twice and Belle dumped your sorry ass. So again, those things stung him. Those things are real personal to him, right? So anyways, it's none of your business. So she said, anyways, tell Anna I was here and she went away. But you could tell it definitely stung them. Anybody that can get under his skin is definitely Gabby. And the fact that she even called him by Elvis. And I'm going to tell you why that even matters later on, right? So going on to Chad and Jennifer and Jack, right? So they already wrote their statements to oppose Mark Green being released early on parole, right? So Chad has not written a statement yet, and they're asking him like why, like he tried to like take you out, take you away from your kids, why? So he said that he's been contemplating whether or not he wants to do it, but Jennifer already put two and two together and like saying, okay, it's because of Kat and your relationship with her. So he said it's not really that. I just really want to move forward, and I understand why they did what they did because of Clyde and how he had them against their will. Jennifer can't see through that because Jennifer's saying that a decent person would not do what they did, and I don't care if they were under duress or whatever. It's still wrong. They filed my daughter, they disrespect my daughter and everything, my grandchildren, whatever. And Jack and Jennifer trying to reason with Chad and like try to get him on board to sign his statement because his statement holds more weight as he's the intended victim, right? So Chad just doesn't want to go through with it. He just wants to move forward. He just wants to get over this. And he was at the point where they keep pushing and badgering him. He has his breaking point. He said, look, I get that you guys are still hurt over your daughter and everything, and I get that, but I just want to move forward, right? And the kids come in the middle of that, and that's when they stop talking amongst each other, right? It started where they start talking about the kindergarten, about school with them, and JJ's birthday party, and Chad at some point said he had a meeting to go to. Jack said, hopefully think about what we said, and hopefully you would write a statement. So he said, think about it, right? So he leaves, and Jack and Jennifer talking with the kids, catching up. Charlotte goes, and then they talk to Thomas, and Thomas is saying that, look, we went to the mini golf course. We hung out with Rachel. Rachel was in my class and everything, and how she's bonding over snakes and all that. And he talks about how they were at the mini golf course with the Green siblings. And Jennifer's asking, like, did you guys come together? And Thomas is saying that, look, I did not see. They didn't come together. My dad was surprised, or maybe not. So now they're thinking, maybe it's not a big surprise. So she is definitely bothered by that because she doesn't want Kat Green around her grandchildren at all, especially how it affected, things earlier and how she was parading as their mom and everything. She doesn't want that, right? And she's glad the kids doesn't know the real truth about this lady. She just can't stand her, and Jack is behind her and all that, right? There's Jennifer saying, look, whatever I have to do, I'm gonna do, but I am gonna be here. Maybe we gotta be in Salem, and to take care of this Cat Green person. That's when Thomas is upstairs overhearing that part of the conversation as well. Now, Chad went over to Kat's place, and Kat is surprised to see him because, again, they left on an awkward note, and she thought that he was upset with her about her wanting him to, basically write a statement to set her brother free. And he said, no, he's not mad at that because he understands sibling love and all of that, and he would do the same for his own brother. As much as he hates him most of the time or all the time, he would do anything for him to get him out of jail. So he understands her. So he tells her that, look, Jack and Jennifer already signed the statements opposing Mark from coming out. And she's like, what about you? So he said, I chose not to write a statement just to not piss off my in-laws no further. You know, she is happy to hear that. She didn't think that he would do that. But, he said, look, like, at the end of the day, you care about your brother, I care about you, and I care about my family, and I just want to move forward, right? And if this is blossoming between us, I just think that Jack and Jennifer just need to get over it and accept that you are going to be in my life. So let's see how this roll over, because with one thing with Jennifer, and Jack is like the lapdog, because whatever Jennifer goes or says with, he's just going to support her. Not saying that he can't support as the husband or whatever, but he doesn't really have a mind of his own, really. So one thing with Jennifer, she is going to hold a grudge forever. She's self-righteous. She doesn't feel as if she can, apply change of heart to certain people unless they have the name Horton or directly connected to the Horton in some kind of way, shape, or form. She's not going to extend grace to nobody outside of that, honestly. And that's just how her, Julie, and the rest of them stay. Now, earlier, Kat was at EJ's office and she stumbled upon some blueprint of, I guess, the new hospital wing that EJ is designing, whatever. So Gwen walks in on her and, she's saying, like, what are you doing here? So she said, I'm working for EJ now. I'm the new assistant and, I start tomorrow. I'm just, getting my bearings, being organized. So she asked her about the plan in her hand, like, what's up with that? So she said she ended up knocking it over and she's just putting it back together. She doesn't know what's on it and she probably wouldn't understand what's on it. So anyways, Gwen is just there trying to pick her brain. And, Kat is saying, like, any pointers on dealing with EJ since she lives at the mansion with him. And she just tells her basic things like, okay, he likes room temperature water. He likes scotch, whiskey, scotch. He is a stickler for punctuality. He doesn't like nobody else calling him Elvis apart from his mom, right? It has to be EJ. So she just said, just basically good luck. You're gonna need it, right? Dealing with EJ because as much as he's charming, he's definitely ruthless when it comes on to his employees, how he treats them, all of that, other situations, right? So Gwen says, okay, we should meet up for lunch at some point, and she said yes. So we all know that Gwen is definitely now, as I also pinpointed it last week, right? I already pinpointed that Gwen was that person that EJ is possibly working with on this hospital thing, right? She's the silent partner that's been funding because remember they're trying to find out who's working alongside EJ, who's giving him that money because he doesn't have all that money in hand, right? So now we're figuring it out because else would she just stumble into the office like that, right? Now Gwen comes back home to EJ and EJ tells her that Kristen got 6 years and she's like, oh my gosh, she had to spend so much time around that bloody place. So anyways, she says she had a bone to pick with him and she need to share a drink with him. And she's saying to him that, look, how come I went into your new office, I like how it looks, but then I see Kat Green and she has some blueprint in her hand. Like, how could you be so careless, right? So he just said, just calm down. Like, she said, no, I can't calm down because it's my money. He said, like, it's your husband's money. So she said, it's still my money. So anyways, he said, like, look, that's not the real blueprint, right? That is just for the public to see, right? Kat doesn't know what we're definitely up to. And, we have a hidden intention behind this whole thing. Like, the public will see the Mara free clinic, but they don't know what we are secretly working on. So Lord, it's definitely not for the kindness of EJ Art as we already expected, but I wonder what would Xander have done if it was him that's in charge of the hospital. Would he have put it to good use? But what are they up to? I guess we just have to stay tuned. So comment below your thoughts on today's episode, guys. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.